Good morning, chats. Are you doing well today? To replay Huntsman, it's been refunded. It's been refunded. No buttons? No buttons? Oh, are you behaving? Are you behaving? Yeah, I should have known. Should have known.
Can't spread over every egg.
How do I ban specific users from being able to use certain redeems? How do I ban certain users from being able to use certain redeems?
Step inside.
Hi, Paige. How are you doing? Dandy, how are you doing, bud? Fun fact chats. Not only are we playing observation duty today, after stream, we're raiding over to Fairbanks and we're going to be playing Left 4 Dead 2 with a bunch of homies. Left 4 Dead 2. I haven't played Left 4 Dead since the last time I played it with Fairbanks, which was like 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure. And I blew up Ray Chiata at the gas station. It was funny. It was worth it. It was worth it. No regrets. Hell yeah, Dandy. It's going to be nice to meet you. Poor man is in shock. Is in shocked? Shocked? You simply add a condition to return early? That's the Queen bought me the game and Queen messaged me last night and said it was all right if we wanted to refund it. So I went ahead and checked the gift thing if the gifter wants to refund a game. And I did that and Queen's refunded it. I got a pop-up this morning. 20 squats. No. Last night raided with the spiders. Listen, he was making fun of me too, okay? Queen's went back and apparently watched the VOD. Making fun of me the whole time. Beef is everywhere. Beef goes where beef pleases. Beef just kind of appears, materializes out of the wall as just a vaguely meaty skeleton. As you do. As you do. Oh my god, no, nothing, Joel, but my Windows XP is crashing. No, Joel! No, not that queen. Not the band queen, you fucking goofball. No. There's somebody in the community named Queen's Hollow Cafe, and he is the moral backbone? Is that the term I want to go with? Is moral backbone the best term? I genuinely do not know. Well, wait, Sugar, why do you have the muted icon? Are you muted? Can you not hear me? I live in your walls, 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 I live in your walls. The creature maker? Mayhaps. I went deaf? Damn, can't believe Sugar's deaf. A VTuber? Living in your walls is not something every VTuber does. Sometimes they live in your toilet. I've seen VTubers that definitely live in toilets. Or depending on which VTuber it is, sometimes on the toilet if you're like Palm. Queens did make slash gave her date. Yeah, that's true. That is true. We did get Little Foxy Ordain from Queens. We have a skivity ban for a reason. And you thought that was going to get through. No, I don't understand some people's obsession with VTuber idol type stuff because I've never gotten pulled into them, been like, well, yeah, I would like to listen to this cover over literally anything else. Not once has that ever happened to me. I will not lie. VTubers can do as many covers as they want, as many songs as they want, and I have yet to be convinced that any of them are a preferred version than, say, an original or a different cover bands. We banned Gen Z slang and brain rots. Not all of it, but a good portion of it. It's mainly because 7-Eleven. Poor 7-Eleven. Poor 7-Eleven comes in here and tries to be funny, only to immediately get fucking smacked in the face. Hi, Marcel. Welcome in. How are you doing? You don't get slipped through just because you're saying about slipping through? Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's the Bean Man. Hi, Grins. Oh my god, it is Grins. Mowen. Mowen. Yes, Grins. What can I do for you? Yeah, but that's the thing is they're just okay. Like, I have Halocene
Yeah,
covers in my
that's me.
playlist
You're probably
because
wondering
they're
how I
better
ended
than
up
a
in
lot
this
of the
situation.
originals. I got Square Pizza. Get angry? I can't get pizza till Saturday. Or Friday. Also, how have you paid off the fish god Sunstar? I don't fucking know, dude. I'd be like, I'd have to go like check the code or some shit and be like, do mods get like special privileges in this game that I didn't set up? You throw in the air fryer? What? Are you talking about Totinos? You're not supposed to put Totinos in air fryers. Oh my god, who was it? Was it Carrie? I think Carrie was the person who used to talk about how she would throw Totino's pizzas in the fucking microwave. Yeah, don't air fry your pizza. Like, okay, I do know like reheating your pizza, like leftover pizza in the air fryer is apparently a thing. And it's like way better than microwaving it. No, you're not. Well, you can like microwave pizza, but you're not supposed to microwave like freezer pizzas. Carrie is microwaving freezer pizzas, not reheating them. Sensor works cooldown's better, just overall has a higher in-here ratio. Well, that's because Carrie's got a gerb. Carrie's got a gerb now that works during the day. Cat just chilling. Chilling like a villain. Hi, Warfare. How are you doing? I reheated in the oven? I mean, that's another way you could do it, isn't it? Isn't there a method that includes like a glass of water, or is that the microwave method? Is that what it is? For Carrie oven? Carrie has an oven. I've seen pictures of parts of Carrie's kitchen. Carrie has a nice kitchen. Just for whatever reason, she always microwaves her food. Carrie is an oven. Fucking food goes in. Nonsense comes out. How about you don't use the word vor? Sunstar, shoot grins in the face. The oven is currently broken. Why is it broken, Carrie? Why isn't that like an immediate fix? Dirty, disgusting vor enjoyer. Arby, I know one word I can say that'll scare you. Oh no, what is that? Spider? True. I think it was a misclick. I think it was a misclick. It was definitely a misclick. Oven's expensive? Yeah, but repairing ovens is not that expensive. Touchscreen buttons? Ugh. Ugh. Gross. Hi, Pippin. Thank you for self-care. Grins, what are you finger touching? Why are you finger touching? Okay. Let me see. Because this buck has buttons, my dad would rather grill than get it fixed. I will eat grilled food exactly one day every like month. If I started having grilled food every single day, I would start throwing a fucking fit. The grilling is like the worst fucking way to cook food. We have technology to make juicier and tastier meats. Grilling is the leftover compulsion of humanity to cook shit over fire. Yeah, but steaks are garbage, beef. Steaks being like luxury or delicious food is fucking propaganda. Mammoth warm. Yeah, but it's better to make stews or stuff in pots. Or do it in a dry pot with fat to effectively make a small oven than it is to put it on a grill. Who's gonna use A fucking apparatus that literally lets all the good shit melt away and fall into the fire. And then be like, oh, isn't this the best thing ever? That shit's pretentious as fuck. I'll say it again. Steaks are mediocre. Also, hold on. My microphone stand is like loose. It's wobbling a whole bunch. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. Last time I used fire to heat something up was in the army. Good. Good. And I am, in fact, a fucking Texan. Texans aren't Texans by choice. No one's Texan by choice. The question is how you decide to live with it. Is that dude? Hi, Vapor. So have some of the new folks never heard my take on this? Grilling is the worst way to cook meat. Grilling is also the worst way to make a fucking steak. You know how you make a good steak? Sear that shit on the oven, on a flat top, probably in a cast iron. Sear it. Baste it with like butter, rosemary, whatever kind of herbs you want to use for it. And then you slide that shit into the oven. And you slow cook it for like 45 minutes. Illinois? Is that the right word? That doesn't feel like it's the right word for somebody from Illinois. What about boiling the steak? That's only for content creators on YouTube trying to make a quick buck. Today, we're cooking steak 25 different ways. First up, 2 irons stuck together. Anyway, I'm grilling canned oysters. You are a special kind of demon. You are a special kind of demon. What's it like living in hell? Mediocre. Mediocre. In this house, we only cook bacon on a live iron. I swear to God. Even then, putting bacon in the oven is the best way to make bacon. Has anybody ever put bacon in the oven instead of doing it on like a flat top or on a pan? Like that shit basically becomes candy, dude. It's so good. It's so good. Canned oysters slap. I will die on that hill. Are you fucking high, dude? Canned oysters are the worst way to enjoy oysters. Go get an oyster on the half shell. Go down to the dock if you live in a place where you can find oysters and just buy it from some dude. The best way to enjoy oysters is fresh on the half shell with a cracker and like maybe some Tabasco. And lemon juice, of course. Oysters Rockefeller. And herb fried oysters. All fantastic. None of those require canned or fucking canned or jarred oysters. Yes, they are. Those are in fact oysters. What the fuck are you on about? Yeah, Rocky Mountain oysters are testicles. Are testicles. No, you can fry oysters. You can absolutely fry oysters. You can get a second can to make a phone. Oh my vapor. I stick to land food since I'm nowhere near the ocean. That's probably a good policy. And if you do try seafood, go for freshwater, catfish, bass. That's usually a good policy. Any of you ever made a canned phone? Nope. Nope. Walnuts are just plant oysters. Okay, now you're gonna have to explain how you came to that conclusion. Explain, Grins. How did you get to that conclusion? They work decent. The only reason you should use canned or jarred like mussels, oysters, clams, whatever, is if you're making a meat pie and you're gonna mince the shit out of them. Fuck oysters, they nasty. I think they're delicious. And they go down very easy. And I do know some people are always like, oh, but fresh oysters are just like the boogers of the sea. Bitch, there's not a lot of food out there so I can just go and it's gone. It's just gone. Are they expensive in some places? Yeah. But you live near a place where they're like abundant and people like catch them locally? Motherfucker, those things are cheap as dirt. Chat, do we need to talk about the oyster boom? Do we need to talk about the New England oyster boom? The sea is the nose? Oh, God. All right, hold on. Let me go get the pictures. We've talked about it before. I need the ye old oyster piles. There's one. That's not a good quality picture. Up. Get some of the old newspaper pictures and stuff. That's not the one. Local caught oysters ain't cheap, family. That just sounds like you need to go down to the docks first. Also, you're in fucking Florida. Of course they're gouging you. All right, kids. Let me get the screen. Fun fact chat. How many people know about, not the right button. How many people know about the like lobster boom in New England? I'm sure most people know about the lobster boom, right? How like lobsters were basically so abundant, they were washing up on the shore, all that jazz. Well, way back when, at about the same time, if not a little after. Cloud Jumper, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. A little while back, we had the same issue. I say issue, with oysters. That's a pile of oyster shells. Oysters were so abundant and so well received within much of New England, including Florida. I do actually have a picture here from Florida. That there were basically just these massive piles around the fisheries and locations that people would just scoop up. So like, this is a modern one. This one, I believe, was directly in Florida. Although it is kind of insane to have surveillance cameras watching your waste piles. If that ain't the American way. All right, guys, we're just going to leave our trash out here in the parking lot because that is definitely on asphalt. But anyway, you're not allowed to steal it. We just kind of want it to sit here and rot. Okay, but what if I want to take it and like grind off the back and stuff and turn it into jewelry or things? Why not throw it back in the ocean? That is theoretically possible. Actually, here, real quick. Let me show you. Here you go, chat. This is what an oyster bed looks like. Say hi to oysters in their natural habitat. They often live in tidal areas where they will sometimes be exposed to the surface, but they span everywhere and they are razor fucking sharp. How much is the rent? Probably free, but it's not a good neighborhood. Imagine landing in that. You don't want to land in that. You really don't. This is an obviously mostly dead oyster bed because I'm guessing it's been exposed to water or the air far longer because most of these look like they're dry and open. It's Oyster Bay. But God, these fucking weird platters that they keep showing. But yeah, they used to be extremely abundant, both in Texas, Florida, East Coast, basically the entirety of like the Atlantic side of the United States. To the point where they were so popular, especially in like New York, that we ended up with like political cartoons and stuff for them. Oyster stands, Fulton markets. They would be roasted, fried, served raw, just all up and down the streets of New York City. Miss me with the oyster beach? You don't want to go to an oyster beach. Plus, most places that are used as beaches in the United States are not anywhere near oyster beds. Oyster beds can also be as far out to sea as, say, like several miles. as they'll usually sometimes also appear on, what do you call them? Not quite sandbars, but more like ridges, like shallow ridges. A mountain of bison and buffalo bones? Yeah. Yeah. Here's one of the shucking houses. Another old picture of a shucking house. And then a picture of, I believe these are both oyster companies. Small piles out front, and this is right under the... That's not the Brooklyn Bridge, is it? It's a major bridge. It doesn't... Is it the Brooklyn Bridge? Shucking with the homies. Oh, did you also know that there's red sand beaches? Looks like London Bridge. This is America. No, it doesn't look like the fucking... Grins. That's fucking sacrilege to your own people. You can't say that shit. You should know what the London Bridge looks like. Where's Red Beaches? I believe it's Iran. Yeah. Red sand beaches. Because it's really high in iron, if I remember right. There's also black sand beaches. Because the sand here, especially Hawaii, is volcanic. It's broken down igneous rocks and lava and stuff turned into sand. But yeah, there's tons of colors of sand. It all just depends on the minerals that it's used to make up. White sand is usually actually broken shells. White sand beaches are more often than not.
Step inside.
It could be limestone. It just really depends what the island has. But more often than not, it's actually small ground down shells over millions of years. We have needles. What is needle sand? I've been to Florida beaches. I just never knew it was called needles. Oh, I got you. Never mind. I get the bits. But yeah, oysters. Rockefeller. History. There it is. So there's a lot of different ways oysters Rockefeller come. A lot of the times you'll see it with like cheese over the top of the greens and stuff. But if you go to places like New Orleans, this is what oyster Rockefeller looks like. It's much more mixed. It still has the same amount of greens, and I'm pretty sure it still has the cheese. It just very much looks like moss. I have not had this type of oyster Rockefeller, but I've always thought it looked really funny. It's not actually mold. It just looks like moss. And then what's the other one? There's another one. What's the fried oysters called? Oyster. Hi, Wee. That just is making me frown. I'm sorry. It's fine. I mean, like, there's other versions that, like, this is cheese with, like, tomatoes, it looks like. Breadcrumbs over the top. But New Orleans, this is the one that we've actually seen before on stream. We watched, like, a New Orleans eatery special. Fritters? No, the fritter, it's something else. Oysters, fried dish. I know that it's another name that's similar to oysters Rockefeller, but it's... I don't think it's Bienville. That doesn't sound right. Oysters, definitely not Kirkpatrick, but let's oyster ice cream. Uh-oh. Maybe I'm just misremembering. Maybe it was just Rockefeller that I'm thinking of. Baron fondue, oyster fondue. Kirkpatrick and oysters, or Philpatrick. Topped with cooked bacon, served with Worcestershire sauce, ketchup, and other flavor. Okay, hold on, we're looking this up. I gotta see what this looks like. Ooh. Ooh. Bacon and oysters with Worcestershire sauce? Worcestershire? Oh yeah, people put anything in ice cream. It's not too surprising. There's probably more to it than just oysters, I'm guessing. That looks good though. That looks real good. Plus, that's like the kind of thick bacon. Also, hold on a second. To give you an idea too, like, oysters get real big, chats. Real big. Where's the long? There's one. Like, that's bigger than the man's hand. And there's this one. Also bigger than the man's hand. No, oysters get huge. The reason many oysters in, say, like Florida and stuff that you usually find now are not very big is because we harvested most of the giant ones. We over-farmed them to the point where so many oyster beds are now just barren. And then we continue to, at this point, of course, we've like plotted out plans now. We're a little more smarter when it comes to fishing oysters and shellfish. But we plot them out to the point where we're like, also, this guy has no fucking fingernail, dude. What the hell is that? And we set it up so that we only farm them during season every like year or so. There's like plots that you will fish up. The thing is those plots are reseeded every year and only allowed to grow to a certain extent. So like this oyster could be as old as 20 plus years old. While the ones that we keep harvesting are the ones that we keep reseeding. We harvest like every 4 years. Maybe. But yeah, oysters, very cool creatures. I actually had a class on mariculture. And one of the things that we had to do a research project on, here's a good comparison for you. There you go. There you go. Yes, that is exactly why, beef. Because we've over harvested them to the point where the only things that are left are the ones that we are essentially throwing in to harvest in a few years. Horseradish and crackers? Also yes. Also yes. Although there are some people that grow like different species of oysters and clams and stuff, mainly for pearls. Like this. I think this is a fake picture. I don't think that pearl's actually there. That looks like a shitty Photoshop job. Invasive clam. But anyway, eat more seafood, kids. Hi, Songbei. How are you doing? Let me get back to full chat. All right. Yes, chat. Everybody should eat more seafood. Seafood is good for you and relatively abundant. I say relatively abundant as if we haven't been overfishing it to the point where we're also throwing out more seafood than we actually eat. Puts my biology degree to work. Listen, I like doing it. It's fun talking about sea life and stuff. I enjoy the shit out of it. Hey, also, chat, you want to know something I found out recently? I found out literally last night about a particular visa to a certain country that doesn't require a job sponsorship. And you can get residency with it. Eat dolphin, take revenge. Ooh. Okay, maybe. We move in the carnival? Not yet. And it's an affordable visa process. It's at most like $140 as compared to hundreds and possibly thousands. China. China has a K visa that is basically a resident visa that you can go in and live in China and get residency without having to have a job sponsorship yet. It's basically, you can like start a business, you can do a bunch of other stuff. And it's shockingly affordable. It's apparently China's response to back when They fucked up the H-1B visa nonsense. So China's now recruiting foreign talent. Sure, fake. Sure, whatever you say. Which is a shame because seafood is a lot more sustainable than traditional land animals. Yes. Also, yes. It also doesn't help that we are also over ranching basically every single animal that we need. We have too many chickens, we have too many cows, and we have too many pigs. That's also including dairy cows and meat cows. A business owner or something? I technically count as a business owner. And one of the things that they said you can work in is education. It's usually because they've bitten the propaganda stick. They've bitten the United States propaganda stick when it comes to understanding China's leadership. Yes, it is. It's mainly because they do so much education in China now and they're trying to expand. They're hiring teachers out the fucking wazoo, my dude. Out the wazoo. Pigs, both the animal and cops? Also, yes. They're building more cop cities across the US. They're building a surveillance state, chat. They're 100% building a surveillance state. I wouldn't say crisis. I did read that earlier. I did say yeah, but it's like they are hiring education positions a lot. Like a lot. Study and do your own research? Yeah. Or go see people that actually live in the country. I've matches on dating apps for Chinese people? Wait, where do you live? Like what state? What state do you live in? I was gonna say, I can understand that if you live in like California or like another major city, New York City specifically. Could say something about you. Could say something about you too. Never know. You live in the Midwest? Then I'm gonna say that you definitely have a type and the app has definitely noticed. You live in Europe? Oh no. Wait, are they Asian or are they Southeast Asian or are they West Asian? Like Central West Asian? Uzbek and such. Huh. Interesting. More Brits are infiltrating the carnival? No, he said Europe. That doesn't mean it's Britain. That doesn't mean it's Britain. There's far more territory that is not Britain than there is Britain. And somehow we still end up with more British people. How did this happen? All right, Brits, line up. Where's Grins? Where's Sunstar? Who else are we missing? Not the sipping. Speaking of sipping. Tosses tea into Boston Harbor? It doesn't mean a whole lot. There's a lot of places in Europe that I am British in this situation. No, Sun Eater. No. All right, join the others against the wall. Close your eyes and hope God saves you. We got to throw Sunstar in the harbor now. Technically, lots of people in America are British. Yeah, but that's British in the same way that like somebody is like, I'm Irish American or I'm Italian American. Oh, okay. What are some of the things that you do to perpetuate, help continuing the culture that your family originally came from? Oh, I wear green on St. Patrick's Day. Okay. Is that it? Is that all? What is this culture that you speak of? That's the thing. Has anybody ever seen the subreddit r/shit Americans saying? Because most of that subreddit is basically just like everybody all over the world making fun of Americans for pulling shit like that. That's basically like people will be like, oh, we'll say, we can pick really anything. It could be Chinese American, Italian American, any denomination American. And most of the time, it is them taking the piss out of Americans, claiming to have heritage of some other place, but then basically just being as American as you can be. And being like generations removed. Speaking of which, chat, speaking of being generations removed, I actually found something out. How long ago was this? I think this was over the weekend. I think it was over last weekend I was doing this. I actually found some genealogy sites that had the history recordings of my grandparents and further back. And apparently there are records of people in my family as far back as, I believe it was 1611. Yeah, 1611. Not those kind of genes. Spelled with a G. You like trains? Name every train? What were their wishes? Shut the fuck up, you fucking dorks. But yeah, 1611. And the thing is, the reason I was doing it because I was like, Canada's like expanded their being able to re-get citizenship if anybody in your family ever lived as a Canadian citizen. And I was like, okay, maybe my family are Acadians, so maybe I could find like old family lineages that people are still are or were living in Canada at some point when it was established. I was wrong. I was very wrong. My family lived in Canada before Canada was Canada. And then they moved down to New France. And some of them died when it was New Spain. So that's fine. That's dandy. That's the furthest back I know is again like 1611. People were born, this particular family member was born in France but died in New France. So they were already in the United States when they died. Oh wait, do I have family in Quebec still? Ooh. I wouldn't doubt if I do, but there's just like not an easy connection right now. It's a little hard. But even then, Canada is not really like one of my goal locations in life. Do I want to visit? Sure. Do I want to live in Canada? Fuck no. Fuck no. I'm not going to America Light. I studied genealogy. It's a subsection of the English language study to make phrases that have zero room for interpretation. You know, just in case they find a genie's lamp. Oh my God. You know what? That's actually kind of clever. That's actually kind of clever. I like that. Fosh. Exclamation mark Fosh. Damn ordained. Messing up fishing game too? Older records could be in Poland, but that's not worth it for me. Makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, you would only care to go back and see that if like Poland had a like citizenship for anybody whose like lineage previously lived in Poland. I have a parent born in a European country that has jure sanguinis. What? Jure sanguinis. Legal principle allowing citizen acquisition based on percentage rather than birthplace. Oh. Commonly used in countries like Italy and Ireland, it allows descendants to claim citizenship through an unbroken chain of ancestry, provided the original ancestor was alive after the nation's formation. Like for Italy, it's March 17th, 1861. Are there any other countries? Oh, many of these are the websites for Italy. That's the thing is I legitimately do not know like the percentage of my ancestry. I have no clue. That was just my grandma's side. That was how I could trace back on my grandma's side. Quarter German. My Oma was born in Munich, Germany. I'm from Illinois and moved back to Illinois a few years ago after living in Mississippi for a few years. We observing here? We're gonna get to observing, Fairbanks. I'm observing you right now. Hold on. Where are you? There we go. Observe the Fairbanks. Observe the Fairbanks. Observing. Yep, that's Fairbanks. Anyway. Smooching range. Eyes. Thank you. I was actually going to turn this on in just a second. Pokes eye. Which one? Which one are you poking? Hold on. I got to sneeze. Okay, I'm good. It was just one. Top left down two. Oh my God. Breath mint. I miss the Southern cooking. Do you know what you get to do then? That means you get to start doing the Southern cooking yourself. It's time to learn to make a po' boy, baby. Time to make gumbo. Time to make jambalaya. Goodness. People pay good money for that? All right, pay up, chat. What is this? Just is they want to pay up for the breathing on their face, just like a. Well, I'm starved. Who wants jambalaya? I do know how to do that. Good. As you should. As you should. All right, what time is it? We are like less than 10 minutes? Oh no, we're 12 minutes from the ad break. All right, that's fine. We'll keep yapping. I just don't have a woman to cook it for. That's fine. Cook it for yourself. Why does cooking for a woman have to be a thing? Why is that even a pitch? I'm not here to cook for other people. I'm here to cook for myself and then share it with other people. I'm gonna make things that I like, and if you want to try it and or eat it, so shall it be. So shall it be. Always make enough to share. Or at least I try to make enough to share most of the time. They think I'm better than you. You welcome the woman you cook. You become the woman you cook for. Oh my God. Eating alone is not always fun. It's barely ever fun. But even then, cooking for yourself and then enjoying the meal is always something that you can do. Or just invite friends over. Invite friends over to come have dinner where you cook something up to share with everyone. The only option is not just to cook for a lover, is basically what I'm saying. But I don't have a girlfriend, so who am I cooking for? Yourself, numbnuts. Come on. Also, there is so much cocoa hair on my desk. I'm going to need to break out the vacuum today. I meant to do it yesterday, but I completely fucking forgot. Yeah, eating alone is not always fun, but eating food with friends or other things, or even just going out in public and eating, I don't mean making your food, like going out in public and eating, I mean just going out to eat is nice to just have a social atmosphere around you. What the hell are friends? People you enjoy spending time with, my dude. People you enjoy spending time with. Eating alone, not being fun, and making food for yourself aren't one-to-one? Correct. Yeah. Marked territory? It's like... Yeah, there's a shitload of dust, too. I'm gonna need to get out the Swiffer. Is it a Swiffer? Is that the brand that makes the weird little dusty thing? Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna grab it real quick during the commercial break. Not the vacuum, just the Swiffer. Because it's bothering me and... Oh my God. I lifted up my keyboard to look underneath it. There's cocoa hair underneath my keyboard. That's fucking crazy. Airstorm? Airstorm? Oh, just hit him with a... All right, real quick. I'm setting up the game really quick, even though it's a little bit away. We'll do Garlic. Garlic today will be the game. Okay. Why did you clip that? I can cook, clean, sew. I take care of my 2 sons when I get off work. Yeah. Wait. Are you a single dad? Is that what we're finding out? Well, then it sounds like you do have people to cook for. You have your boys. Hell yeah. Okay. Oh, goodness. Hold on. Oh. Okay. That was weird. Goodness. All right. Please, my son, he is very hungry. Don't dox our mans, please. I'm not going to dox him. That was my only question. I just didn't know that. But I'm also checking some release things. Oh my God, why aren't you working? Why did you stop working? Hello? There we go. Oh shit, what's today? 26th? Oh shit, the new Life is Strange game comes out today. Damn. Spark in the Dark? Dungeon crawler Souls-like RPG horror game. Ooh. Oh, visual horror novel. All right. Teenagers are picky sometimes. That makes sense, but it's one of those things that, like, I was picky as a teenager, but to be able to instill new experiences into your boys and then open them up to a world of culinary exploration is a good way to start. Okay, do your boys like meat? Do they like meat, Pippin? If you want to try and introduce them to other culinary ventures, it's easier to start with things that they may be slightly more familiar with. So if like good examples would be like, you could try making kebab and stuff at home. Salvador, I know you're making a gay joke. Bad. Like, break out kebabs, make like shawarma and stuff to introduce new seasoning and spice mix to your boys. Will they eat fish? I'm alive. Hi, dreaded spagoot. Butter chicken. Butter chicken's a good way too. That's white people's favorite faux Indian dish. Things too where like you can mix in things where they wouldn't notice it. Like if they're not fond of seafood or anything, making things like gumbo or etouffee where you can put crawfish or shrimp into it, and it usually comes out very tender, is a good way to introduce them to more seafood. Or fish curries. Fish curries is a good double whammy. Buy a smoker. That's a little pricey. In case like budget is tight and stuff. I'm making steaks. Yeah, but steaks are boring, Salvador. Steaks are just slabs of meat vaguely seasoned. Vaguely seasoned. Again, having like properly seasoned food and stuff is why most of the time I hate on like things that are deemed fucking Western culinary extremes. I cooked them a Wagyu tallow. Never mind, carry on. Never mind. Never mind. I'm sorry. I see I'm in the presence of a professional. How dare steaks are good? No, they're fucking not, dude. They're basic. They're boring. They're just slabs of meat that somehow you have all been convinced is like the peak of fucking high society culinary ventures. I will never be caught dead spending any amount more than $20 for a steak. I would sooner go to a kebab place and spend twice as much for a steak and die happy. Sitting in the freezer for months, ready. Really need to cook those? You really do. Those are gonna get. That's kind of worse. Those aren't gonna be very good steaks. You probably may want to come up with an alternative for using those steaks for something like mince them or something. Good steak is pretty awesome. Good steak is still mediocre food. Good steak is still mediocre food. Hold on, I want to see. Is there tier list? I need tier list. Is there like a gourmet food tier list? I need to know. Food Wars.
Step inside, step inside.
Okay, but it's Food Wars. Oh, Food Wars is characters. Where's my close tab button? What the fuck, Opera? Gourmet or food in general? Food in general. Let me see. Is there a big one that I could just do food? No, these are all red food tier list. Food pyramid or food groups tier list. Food tier list. Okay, what is this one? Okay, this is food groups again. What the fuck? Okay, most of these are all like fast food restaurants, fast food tier list. Food mascots. A good steak is great. It's not the peak of pinnacle, but it's nice. It's not even close. If you look at the entire scope of the culinary worlds, the steak is near the bottom. I don't care what anybody says. Food Wars is food hentai? I know what Food Wars is. It's Shokugeki no Soma. It is in fact not hentai. It's ecchi. That's besides the point. But Food Wars is actually a good culinary show. I'm not even joking. Food Wars is legitimately a good culinary show because they use real methods. The methods they use are real, functional, and they make real dishes. Is it over the top? Abso-fucking-lutely. DxD? Oh my god, DxD. Yeah, but DxD's actual focus is boobs. High School DxD is literally focused around boobs. Fun fact, in case you didn't know this, chat, the English VA of Issei in High School DxD is a VTuber. She is a VTuber. And ass? Yeah. Doesn't pretend to be anything else. That's true. That is true. That is very true. Fighting Foodons walked so that Food Wars could fly? Oh my god, not fighting Foodons. You can't go bring your fucking Foodons in here. That's awful. That's awful. By the sides it's served with, you can't tell me otherwise? Yes. A steak is elevated by what you put on top of it or what you put with it. But even then, it is D-list at best. In terms of the entire culinary exploration on the globe, a steak is D tier at best. You know, it's better at that, like even in C tier, the average British shawarma. Done and dusted. I will go no lower than C. Well, you're wrong. I'm starting fights here today. You're wrong. You're incorrect. How do you feel about salmon? I like salmon. Salmon has a lot of alternative ways to cook it and can be made in tons of different dishes in different methods and ways. But does kind of have the... No, it does kind of have the same problem as steak. There's better fish that you can put into like other dishes, like whitefish is way better. All right, chat. I'm gonna take a brief break because I'm gonna go get the duster and quickly dust my desk because it's kind of grossing me out. So I'll be back in a couple minutes. Have fun, kids. All right, chat. Sorry that took so long. I got it mostly cleaned up. It's a lot better. It looks a lot better. But then I also got distracted because I thought I smelled cocoa dookie when I was walking around the house. I think it was actually just the trash can. I think it was the trash can because I smelled it as soon as I opened and closed the trash can. Marin, bad drawings? What do you mean bad drawings? The game is hard? The game is hard sometimes. All right. All right. All right. Let me do this. Let me get the game open. And we will get schmovin' and groovin'. Schmovin'. Oh, wait, there's an update for Crime Scene Cleaner. What is Act 2? Story reaches its breaking point. New revelations, consequences that refuse to stay hidden. Oh. 5 new missions. Grand finale of this journey so far. New skins, new customizables, new achievements. And then eventually a DLC called Biohazard. All right, boys and girls. I guess we're playing more Crime Scene Cleaner in the future. No Cocoa Poo? Yeah, no Cocoa Poo. All right, so let me swap the volume. Okay, wait for Sunstar to realize. And then immediately pause it on Sunstar. Anyway. Hi, Light. How are you doing? I had to relive stream twice because I could only see daily subs to... Huh? Only see daily subs to Marin's hair? Daily subs? Why is the game not showing up? Ooh. Ooh. Get it. Get it. All right, hold on. Film grain? We'll leave it on for now. We'll leave it on for now. Eyes. Eyes. 23,999. Are you serious? Nailed it. Nailed it. What is up with the music? Damn. All right, how to play. Report anomalies as soon as you spot them. There are 2 types of reports. Context report, which requires targeting the anomaly by holding down the cursor on top of it, and global report, which requires selecting a room to target. Jesus, actually, hold on, that's really loud. Okay, A and D is switch cameras. Exit is to pause. Okay, right click is global report. Gotcha. Most anomalies only accept a specific type of report. Too many active anomalies results in failure. Also beware of dangerous intruders. Try to make it to the end of your shift at 6 a.m. Okay. All right, I suppose we should do these in order. So we'll do ranch.
There's our man. There's our man. There's our boy.
So that's our question. All right, the Bureau's U.S. Southwest Field Office has detected anomalous activity in northern... Oh, hold on, I can do better than that. The epicenter of anomalous activity in the area appears to be a family-owned cattle ranch in county. Internal memos from the local sheriff's department confirmed the status of the family as missing, but the sheriff and the county commissioner's involvement in local... Of an official response, a local journalist is investigated, but their whereabouts are currently unknown. Local wildlife management has credible reports of humanoid... In the area, audio files recovered from damaged cassette records during preliminary investigation contain an ominous buzzing hum that indicates one or more in the area. Should I save my points for good or bad requests, or do I spin the punishment wheel? That is entirely up to you, Beef. That is entirely up to you. Doggy! Attention employee. Anomalies have been previously cited in the monitored area. Pay extremely close attention to the surveillance cam footage. File an anomaly ASAP when you notice something has changed.
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
Okay. Horses! 2 horses, boxes, okay. Oh my god, there's so many cameras. 3 goats. Scarecrow. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cameras? Oh no. Oh no. Okay, this is gonna be hard. Again, is that our Jeep? Grand Calabrero Ranch. All right, chat, you gotta help me. Oh shit, the calendar is circled there. Okay, so maybe that may be something that could change. Yes, this is a farmhouse. Universe book. Does anybody know how long, like, is it, there's a certain window that, like, gives us enough time to examine everything? Oh, those are dots. Hi, horsies. Probably, I would hope so. Lantern. 3 pillows, 2 lights, thermometer. Also, this is a cool touch. Could you, if I owned a ranch, I would have some spooky fucking shit like this hang. The cube. Okay. Hi, Tuka. How are you doing? What are you looking at, buddy? Oh, there's 3 pumpkins behind me. Oh, no. Okay. Coffee maker. Was this book always here? Maybe that book was always there. I am certainly missing things. I know I am. But I don't see anything. Okay, so that clock actually moves with the current time. That's cool. Why are both these bookcases diagonal in the corners? That's insanity. Again, I'm not seeing anything. Chat, do y'all see anything? Should I make myself smaller? Hold on a second. So make it a little bit easier. so I'm not covering so much of the screen. I don't like that sound. What was that sound? Oh, that was the hour. That was the hour hitting. Okay. I see nothing either. Are we missing an item here? Wasn't there something else right there? Oh, hey, I did notice it. Okay. God, but they're so minute. That doesn't sound like camera anomaly, abyss, steam, fog, smoke. Oh, steam, smoke, fog can be one. This is backyard. No, okay, so I guess this fog doesn't count. There's more fog here. Seriously? Was there something on this table behind me? I think there was. No? Okay. I was hoping there was a light one here. Light anomaly? Okay, no. Oh, for a split second, I thought that goat had extra legs. Was this open before? Okay, maybe it was open before, right? Oh, secret item. Neat. I was like, that wasn't there before. That did kind of scare me a little bit, though. Attention, employee of multiple active anomalies in your... Fuck! You're not supposed to be a jack-o'-lantern. Were there plates here before? Maybe this is just object movements? I think that's what I did last time, actually. What did it fix? Behind me, there was a jack-o'-lantern. There's pumpkins here. It turned into a jack-o'-lantern. It had the face and stuff on it. Oh my god, I legitimately see nothing! Replacement. Fragile boxes. I really don't see anything. Was the tractor always green? Hide behind chat with your eyes poking over so we can see it? I can do that. Here. The thing is, though, is I'd be looking, like, off screen for most of the time. I'd be looking off screen, like, most... If I'm playing the game, this is the direction I'm looking. Wait, I have a solution. Okay. Left side shots. Okay. Was there water in this trough before? Oh, I see a light. Nice. And now the whole carnival is unstable? What do you mean? That's hour 2. I don't think that's going to count, but we'll see. Because if it is, that's been active the entire time. Okay, that's what I thought. Oh, I never looked in the hall. Was this something else? That's a load-bearing chat column? What do you mean? Come on. Was there a saddle here before? Extra object? Ooh, okay. Hold on. Is this an extra object then? Because maybe I've been putting in the wrong anomaly. Okay, no, apparently that's right. I keep thinking this goat's covered in blood or something, but I don't think it is. Hi, cool. How are you doing? We also haven't come across the real spooky shit yet. Everything's been real subtle. Gran Cabero Ranch, still the same. Was this here before? I don't know if this was here before. I guess it was. Again, who left the fridge open? And the fridge is empty. Yes, this is the 8th game. God, the horses keep startling me. Did those tires change? I recommend to play Vapor. Ooh. Okay. Again, we're missing something. Is this thing different? Is this one different? Oh, man. Image anomaly in kitchen. Object replacement on front porch. Image anomaly in living room. Okay, that makes me think that it was, what image was it, though? All right, gotta go again. Yeah, like this is an image anomaly, weirdly enough. I wonder what it was. What counts as an image anomaly? Lantern, wood. There's a bench there. Okay, maybe the bench was gone. Oh, there's two benches. Okay, there's two benches here. It was the ragdoll one? What do you mean ragdoll one? Oh, and then maybe the image changed here on the calendar. Okay, so it's November and it's supposed to be a bunch of leaves. Help me remember that, chat. Although, what is this thing here? That doesn't look right. Horseshoes. Horse. Did I say horse booze? Fragile. I swear that says horse booze. Okay. Hi, buddy. Was that an intruder? I guess not. Okay. Kind of finicky. I've seen them crash high-ends. Oh no. Cheese rolling. November with leaves? Yeah. Plants. Thing is, too, is I think anomalies, because that was only 3 anomalies before it ended. And that's not a lot, which means it takes a while for an anomaly to show up. Milk box, wood, dog, lantern, 3 pillows, bench, windows that could have things in them. I need to remember to look at this one way up here. I know the changes are so small. Shovel, was that there? I see nothing. Spot the difference. Is this one different? Is the date wrong? I can't tell if anything's changed. I can't tell either. Like, everything seems normal. There were ropes here before, right? Extra object? I feel like this is just going to be one of those things where we try a whole bunch and we don't finish the map and then we move on to another map. Was this there before? Oh, hi! The taillights? Is there something wrong with the taillights? Light car? Oh, I see. The headlights are flickering. Thank you, Marshall. Was this light beam here previously? Did I just totally miss this light beam before? I also feel like the reflection in this window is relevant, but it's really hard to tell.
Step
Yes, Horsey?
inside, step inside.
Thing is, there's also so much smoke and stuff. Like, there's obviously mist. Like, that's obviously mist. Why does that not count? There's mist out here, too. Mist back here. Also, who was that? Cheshire Reaper, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing? Also, was this rug here before? I don't think that rug was there before. Really? Why does it also look like somebody's pissed on it? How's it going? I am having a rough time with this game. I'm not seeing the differences. These windows aren't right, are they? Movements? Weren't these like previously lined up? Intruder? Weird animal. Okay. There's like specific ones, so it does change based on like kind of where you're clicking. That's a man's shadow, isn't it? Extra object? Right? I was gonna say that's a... Is it a dead body? I mean, it just looks like a shadow to me. Thing is, though, is it's moving with the goat. Kind of? It's not counting it as anything, though. I did intruder already, didn't I? Oh, man. Chair. Chair on the grounds. Oh, maybe? Extra object? Or maybe it's telling me there's like another light or something. I don't know. I can't even zoom in on it. Maybe it's nothing? It looks like because this goat is moving its leg and I can see it move up here. And I can see it when this goat puts its head up and down. I think that's been there. I think I just only didn't notice it. I think there's another light or something. Oh, we got a missing object again. Did it? All right, we'll take a look at the scarecrow in just a second. Could be. Is it closer? I think it may actually be closer.
Well, look
Nope.
at you.
Dog, 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 wind chime. Nothing in the windows. Who was that? Val and the Unstrung. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Oh, we got a little tractor here.
Well, look at
Like
you.
a little kid's like toy tractor. William, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Wait, is this tape moved? Was it always at this angle? Maybe it was. I think it was. Okay. Hi, Val. Thank you for self-care. I know, mine are too. And we're only on the first map. It's okay. If we fail this one, we'll swap over to another map. Hey, buddy. Why was there a fat naked man on my couch? Oh my god, we're missing a camera. We're missing the camera. Thank you for pointing out the horses. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay. Yeah, because I'm basically always clicking through the cameras at hitting D over and over, so we're always clicking through it. So if one doesn't show up, homies, how are you doing, bud? What trouble you getting into? How's the new Outlast season? Are there extra stirrups here? Horseshoes, horse booze, fragile. Was this always facing this way? Wasn't it facing the other direction? Wasn't facing towards the porch? Wow, I really am just hallucinating anomalies. I guess this was always on the ground, right? His butt sweats. Stains, okay. That takes a few seconds. It's gonna get worse later because sometimes like how the big fat guy reacted. Okay, we still have all of them. He left ass juice on the couch. He did leave ass juice on the couch. He threw his little tanty and then Awesome, loving it so far. Hell yeah. I mean, you streamed what, 26 hours? Like, was it yesterday? Or was it the day before? I think it was yesterday. Oh yeah, that'll do it. Object movements? Ah, yes, my hover bowl. Not for just do that. Yeah, that's fine. That's totally normal. 48, you kept going? You're a monster. An absolute monster. Well, did you at least get all the new lore? Did you collect all the new juicy lore? This light, these beams. Yeah, it's a little weird. I'm still kind of waiting for like a chupacabra ass monster to show up. Again, I feel like something's gonna change up here. Whose shoes fragile? Was this still here before? There hasn't been anything in here in a while, which makes me think that I'm missing something. Long grain parboiled rice cooked in a rich savory base of tomatoes, tomato-based onions, blended red bell peppers and scotch bonnets and habanero chilies. Isn't it also, it's from, is it Senegal? It's a Senegalese dish, isn't it? No. Uh-oh. All right. We're getting there. We're getting full. We're missing something. What are we missing? What are we missing? Banana. Banana! Ah! The porch door? Okay. The porch door. Oh, the door's different. Door anomaly. Camera glitch. Okay, we're doing fine. It's okay. We're hanging. What was that? Okay, for a second, I thought the dog was just locked onto the camera, and I was like, okay, never mind. He's just looking around. Is it getting foggier in here? No! Oh, come on! Is this faucet different? Hello, Hanses. How are you doing today, Hans? Boo shoes. Light anomaly. Yes, it still leaves. Hi, Kono. Yeah, I needed to cover as little space as possible so that chat could help me. It's also why we moved chat's box over here. It was also said I could supervise them. We're playing an anomaly game and I need help. I'm too distracted mentally managing a carnival over here. I don't say it. I say nothing. Orbs? No, those are outside too. Okay, never mind. There's the fucking fog. That's how you know. That's how you know. Curtain, left window. Okay, we'll check in just a second. Okay, thank you, Chance. Yeah, that was so subtle that I didn't notice it. Oh, there it is. We got the saddle again. Skull swinging? Wait, skull swinging? Oh, it always moves if I remember right. I'm pretty sure it always moves. Yeah, it does. It always swings back and forth. Whose emote is that? Wait a second. Oh, wait, I don't know him. I was about to say, wait a goddamn second. Wait a goddamn second. Good. I keep forgetting to check and see if that door's always open. Oh my goodness. We're almost to 5. Oh, image anomaly isn't an option. Just one more hour. Just one more hour. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. We got this. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're good. Hi, buddy. Oh my god, it's so slow. Oh my god, it's so slow. Chat, hold my hands. Hold my hand, he's right there. Hold my hand, he's right there. Meet the husk. Achievements. Okay. The front doorbell? What was that? Was that just an audio glitch? The doorbell? Right there? I was gonna say, I don't think we had a doorbell. That's a thermostat. Okay. Well, yeah, the horses interact with each other. Kinda, sorta. I just heard something. What did I hear? Mm. Wait. No? I guess it always had the stripe pattern. But oh well. The drinking cow blood on Discord. No, I forgot last night. Damn it. Other way? What do you mean other way? It was vertical? I mean horizontal? Is that what you're talking about? You. It was horizontal? Objects. Like, there's no picture anomaly thing, so it has to be something else, right? Oh, okay, we got it. Somehow? What swapped? Was it just flipped? Is that what it was? Mm. It's the abyss. Ooh. Okay, I think we got it. We're almost done. We've got 8 minutes, 7 minutes. 6 minutes. 5. Oh, lo, lo, lo. Floor. Wait, what floor? Which floor? 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 Is it? Oh, it is. Oh, shit. Yay, we did it. Now, next is just airplane. All right, no, hold on. We'll go back to menu. We'll go to play. It's just airplane. It's, huh. All right, we'll pause it here real quick, chat. We're about to have the ad break in like 4 minutes. We're just gonna call the ad break early. And I'm gonna go run and nibble on something, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. Let me get y'all the game. Let me fix the game so that it's prettier. All right. and I will see y'all in a couple minutes. Excuse me. Oh, hey, are those bonbons? What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? That's bonbon? Bonbon. Good Lord, that's a naked woman. Cop? Police. Sheriff. Heels. Stilettos. Stiletto. Hips. All right. Are we good? Are we done? Did Sunstar get her get their persona time? We did damn good though. You got 9 out of 7. Just 9 out of 7. I don't know. I don't think I'm too impressed. I don't think I'm too impressed. All right. Suspected activity has been reported at International Airport after local controllers lost contact with airline's flights during final approach and the aircraft failed to taxi off the primary runway. Emergency services boarded the plane. No passengers or crew were found on board the craft. Passenger manifest confirms the presence of on board, but as with other passengers, they could not be located. BOADAC has taken over the handling of the incident at the request of the local authorities. The area surrounding the plane has been under the guise of a minor technological issue. Despite previous loss in communication, intermittents from the pilots are being received from the aircraft, though he was not found aboard in subsequent sweeps. Huh. Oh, right. This is the actual in-game music. I forgot. I was like, why is the music still playing? All right, we got a bag. We got Paris, Sydney, Seoul, Trampier, Berlin, Toronto, London. It's the same on all the screens. 2 bags. Poster, chicken wings. Play with us. I'm gonna fly with us. I'm an idiot. 1 box. Photos. Another photo way down here in the corner. Caution, caution, caution. Bagels. Okay, open trap thing. 2 open. 2 on 1. Chairs, chairs. Coffee there. Various booze. Paper there. Business class. 1 bag, purse, shot glass, bag, shoes, exit, cockpit, banana, coffee, safety jacket, box, button, multiple seat belts, doors closed, button. The bathroom? Slutty magazine, mirror with the toilet in it. Some paper on the floor. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 cameras. Pilot cock. Cock pilots. Okay, and there's an indoor and an outdoor. Imagine. I feel like we're probably going to get a lot of like image errors in here. Probably. Like a monitor or something. I don't know what that is. Did this one have shoes here? Please keep the toilet clean. Gotcha. At some point, we're probably getting an intruder who's going to be in here either taking a shit or staring right at us. Was this here before? I don't think that flower was there before, was it? Is this here? Okay. Is that an intruder or is that a light anomaly? Oh, that's a spooky lady. Image anomaly? Oh, thank God. Okay, it counts as an image anomaly. It's just the coffee there, right? Mm. 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 Co-pilot? No, it's cockpit. Everybody knows co-pilot is short for cockpilot. Everybody knows that. Shut up. Okay, still have 6. Uh, mm, wait, what? Gate entrance 4 chairs turn to 5? Oh, these? Extra objects? Nice. Good catch. Good catch. Um. Okay, usually when it does that, it means there's more than one. Well, what's that? Uh, okay. What is that, a hat? It looks like a hat. Oh shit, a hat in the toilets! What? What is it, sugar? It's been born. Yes. Poopin'? Estoy poopin'? That was not a cowboy hat. That looked more like some ladies. Was this on the floor before? What is that? Mm. I'm generally kind of nervous about what the anomalies in here are going to be. Is that different? Missing object? Obviously a light numbling. I saw that bitch go up. I saw that bitch go up. Especially because it's seemingly nighttime. Actually, it is nighttime outside because we're doing this from midnight to 6 a.m. Still got a red bag. Did this one change? I think that's still the same, but I'm still going to test it. Yeah, we haven't had any dead bodies. Where are my corpses at, game? Wait a goddamn second. Wait a goddamn second. Okay, no, that's right. That was there the whole time. Something on the door change? Mm. Scratching my nose. What is it? What are you? Soap TP. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay. Vest. Oh, the safety vest is gone. Oh, it is. I was staring at that corner for a second. I was like, that laptop thing is supposed to be there. Were those stains there before? Oh, there's no stain option this time. Hey, there's our corpse. The banana returned to the cockpit. The banana was in the cockpit. Banana there? The banana's been there the whole time. Right? 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 It's been there the whole time? You're not lying to me, are you? You're not lying to me, are you? I'm pretty sure it's been here the whole time because I remember being banana and coffee cup. Extra object, just to make sure. Were these stripes here before? Okay. Oh, it was much longer. Okay, there was 3 sections. Bagels. Ooh, you know what sounds really good right now, chat? A scone. A blueberry scone sounds really fucking good right now. Nah. I've never understood the appeal of bagel and lox. Nah, I'm not a bagel person. I don't like bagels. I'm here for scones or donuts. Are you different? I always thought bagels were pretty mediocre. Granted, I've always just had like the general bagels that are usually available around places, but I have seen the video of like actual authentic New York bagels that are like far fluffier and stuff, but I've never got to try them. Those always look way better. But even then, I'm more of a... If I'm having a bagel, I want it to be kind of sweet. So I usually end up getting like a fruit one with maybe like some kind of fruit cream cheese. I think the entire time I was in college, we had an Einstein Brothers bagel place. I like kolaches more than anything. All right, meats or fruit kolaches? Oh shit. Okay. Because the meat ones technically aren't kolaches. The fruit ones are kolaches. What is it? What's changed? Fuck! Actually, were these always green and brown? I thought they were all one color. Weren't these a different color before? Thank you for noticing that. Fishing is all I have in these trying times, you goofball. What the fuck is a fruit kolache? Google fruit kolache right now. Are we zoomed out? We are absolutely zoomed out. Hi, 7-Eleven. Because fruit kolaches are the original kolaches. Kolache usually refers to the type of bread that's made in it. It's usually like jam or jelly on top with like a dented top. And then sometimes cream cheese, sometimes not. You can really put any kind of fruit on the top of it that you want. And they are very good. They are very, very good. Is that not just a tart? You have severely misunderstood what kind of bread is on a kolache. Hi, 7. How are you doing? Okay, what else are we missing? Are these bottles different? Why are some of these safety things different than each other? Maybe the lighting's changing? I don't know. I could have swore these were different colors. Door anomaly. Is the door different? Wait. Door anomaly. That door's not supposed to be closed. Silly Billy. I feel like there's something wrong with the bagel room, but can't point out anything specific. Bagel room? Oh, this room. The economy class. Wasn't there another one that was supposed to be open here? Wasn't it 2 and 3? Well, apparently I was right. I was right. Let's go. Wait, isn't there supposed to be something in there? Oh my god, did we get a double anomaly? Probably not, right? Yeah. Okay. Nothing in the mirror. That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion. Okay. 2-1. No. Na, 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 na. I'm not seeing anything wrong in here. Fire extinguisher. Wait, are we zoomed out? Are we? No. No, it's still the same. Economy glass bottles are wrong, but not sure why. Yeah. Fire extinguisher's still there. Are we missing anything over here? Hmm. Oh, raggle fraggle. All right, down the last 2 hours. Last 2 hours. I don't think this has changed. Most normal Spirit Airlines plane. Oh, man. Object movement in economy class. Image anomaly in toilets. What image was it? It's probably one of the stickers. Extra object in business class. Yeah, that's what I think it was. Maybe they got like swapped or something. And we just kept putting in the wrong ones. We're doing a different map. Fashion venue. Uh-oh. Reports of a possible anomalous event has prompted heightened bleh. I'm not gonna do the censor stuff anymore. Of a fashion show in Berlin's, I don't know, Upper East Side. Invite only event is described as a showcase for an anomalous up-and-coming designer. Anomalous up-and-coming designer. What does that mean? Known for their occult influences, but a visitor to the event contacted local authorities reporting something during the event. Despite the venue having been, I don't know, blessed, remote surveillance indicates that the catwalk models continue their routine as if in a deep trance. Preliminary information indicates that the show's exclusive invite list was compromised of potential customers' black market something being supplied by representatives of, I'm going to say Samsung. We're going to go with Samsung. Shmang Shmung. It's Shmang Shmung. Korean headquartered corporation. Organizer notes found on site referred to a large guest of honor with blank expected to be in attendance for the evening. Okay. What in the sweet fuck is that statue? And why is there a Skeleman over here? 4 bottles here with the stain. 4 bottles here with the stain. No stain. Sorry, no stain. Camera, hat, purse. Also, this fashion sucks. Where's Faye when you need her? Lights, reflective surfaces. Back room, mannequin. 2 pink chairs, 2 gray chairs. We got feet over here behind me. Another mannequin's feet. 2 things in the drawer. Why is there shaving cream here? 2 pink, 2 orange. Jesus Christ. I hate it here. There's so much shit. Oh my God. It's an earthworm with a man's face. Okay. Jewelry. Computer with stuff on it. Money wallets. Clothes. The mannequin hall with creepy ladies staring at us. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, this is gonna be hard. Is that light always been blue? Mannequins always creep me out. I like mannequins. They're like my favorite, one of my favorite like horror tropes. There's also another mannequin down there that I feel like will also disappear. 3 jackets, 4 shirts. I'm not gonna remember any of these, dude. Why are there so many items? Why is there so much stuff? I don't like this map already. Why? Why is this TV sideways? 3 full-size mannequins on throne? I would put them in the worst possible places. Hey, can I bring mannequins? I'm bringing the creepiest porcelain mannequins I can find. The older, the better. How does 1950s, like, painted lip mannequin sound? The front lawn? Question mark? Wait, what are you talking about? Worm man. What do you mean, the front lawn? That's a vampire bar? It's 100% a vampire bar. We went 1780s child labor maid? I did not say that. That is not even close to what I meant. There's no back to that outfit. I don't see anything! Ah! I hate it here. Is that a different outfit? The fuck is that?
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Yeah, we're already fucking swamped with anomalies and I don't know where they are. What the fuck is this map? Hats. There's 6? There's one more. Where's the other one? Is it there? In the mirror? No? Oh, it's right here. The shaving cream was gone, was it? You're right. You're right. It is gone. All the necklaces. Pretty sure these are all the same number of mannequins. This is still horrifying. Was this table over here before? I think it was, because there's another one over here. Entrance hall upstairs? Which one? Wait, what? upstairs? Is it one of these statues? The light on the upstairs? This one? Oh, the lights. The lights changed. Duh. That light, because it was blue before. Camera, purse, hat. Four shirts, 3 jackets. Did this table change? Object movements? Maybe. It was changed to be blue from the start? Yes. Okay, no, it does seem like every table has like a napkin dispenser and 2 drinks on it. At least that seems to be the case. Has anything changed in here? Door? No. Oh, I can't take the wallet. I'm gonna take the wallet. Give me the wallet. How's it going? It's going. You. That's not right. I am using the peepers. Speaking of peepers, let's get those peepers out here. There we go. Again, there's only one white mannequin here, and there's just the torso and stuff. No, that's still right. Okay. Still waiting on this dude right here to disappear at some point. Did the light color change, didn't it? Right? No? Was it always blue? I guess it was. That would explain the blue glow through the door. Okay. I saw that shit. Oh, hey, buddy. Oh, that's an intruder. Never mind. I'm sure that's fine. We got an extra beer. It's actually probably wine. Oh, is that what I want to do this weekend? Do I want to go to a local wood fire pizza place and get like a snazzy little cocktail and feel fancy for the weekend? Is that what my one like restaurant visit is going to be this week? Oh, it sounds real tempting. We're doing pretty good now. We've kind of gotten in a groove. I'm still waiting for one of these TVs to do something. I see that shit. What was that? What was that? What the fuck is that? Oh, it's coming towards me. Rift. Catwalk. The fuck are you? What the fuck are you? Oh, thank God. Makes me want to drink fancy. I mean, it's not going to be that fancy. Like, here, the place I do know of that's local is not crazy expensive. And I can get a wood-fired pizza there. Cocktails are always expensive to a degree. I still always, like, fucking get huffy when I'm like, what the fuck do you mean your cocktails are fucking... Why is nigiri $12 fucking dollars? Oh my goodness. All right. What else are we missing? Table, that horrifying thing. Were these? Okay, no, they're pink on the back. That makes sense, I suppose. Do we have an extra object over here? For nigiri, $12, dude. It's not even that good of a cocktail. Nigiri is almost straight alcohol. But that's not what I'm gonna get this time. I'm gonna see if they have something else. I've only been to this place one time before. What the hell is nigiri? It's cocktail. It's a gin-based cocktail, if I remember right. It is not that great. Very schmancy. It's kind of fancy. It comes in like what I can only describe as a very tiny like wine glass looking thing, and you sip on it a while, and it gets you fucked up. Were these chairs here before? Extra objects? I suppose they were. Maybe? Okay, that's fine. Okay, we still have all 6. Do you see me? Image anomaly? Are we being haunted by the invisible man? Is that what this is? Negroni, that's it. Yes. Yes, it's Negroni. I couldn't remember. My brain was like, Nigiri, Negroni? Nigiri doesn't sound right. And then, do you want to know the worst way? I was like, I know if you say it slowly, it sounds like you're about to say something bad, but I can't remember what the name is. It was Negroni. You're right. It was like, nigiri isn't right. Nigiri is... It's not the melon liqueur. Is it? No. There's a wedding ring here. Oh! Okay, wasn't ready for that. Wasn't ready for that. Sushi? Oh yeah, nigiri, duh. Oh, I'm thinking of Midori? Midori, I think, is the melon liqueur. Was there something on this table before? No, okay. Worm, clothes, necklaces. Fine. Nothing has happened in here, and if it has, I haven't noticed it. Okay, we are absolutely missing shit now. We have got to be missing shit. The mirrors? Ah, yep. Yep. I knew one of those chuckle fucks something was gonna happen here. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Movements. Replacement? Extra objects? Damn it. Did you move? I still don't see anything. These changed colors. The lights are gold now for some reason. Okay. Was this lotion bottle here before? Probably. Mannequin, mannequin, mannequin feet. Very cool poster. Something has to have changed in here, but what? What could it be? The money hasn't changed. Object movements? Probably not. The door hasn't changed. The door's been that wooden one this whole time. Oh, hey, we did get something. What was it? Oh, it was this necklace. It was one of the band ones. Yeah, the one that was there had like the medallion like these. This was supposed to be a band. Did this have the stand look different? Extra object, maybe extra peg or something. The thing is some of these are just, was this always shoes? I don't think this was always shoes. Thank you for self-care, Pyro. How are you doing? Hasn't really been anything in here recently, has there? These are golds. Are these replaced or they've always been golds? Okay, those have been golds. Still have 3 items in here. Pink chairs in the back. Mannequin, mannequin, mannequin. 2 things in the drawer. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. Just got out of work all where someone clicked on a phishing pop-up. Oh, God. People still do that. Was this always on the ground? Also, was this stool here? This stool wasn't here, was it? It was something else, wasn't it? Hi, Reptilian. How are you doing? No? Extra objects? Was the stool always here? Okay, whatever you say. I'm still waiting for something to happen with the statue. I'm very much waiting for something to happen with the statue. Okay, we've got to... Backstage? Find this object? A donut? Donut, donut. You're not supposed to be there. Donut, 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 donut. Chat, help me find the donuts. There it is. Beat the collector. Okay. One, two, three. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're still good. Still good, still fine. This is meat with sauces I got with pineapple slices watching Baki along with streamer. Ooh, that sounds delicious. That sounds awesome. Kinda hungry. I already eated it. I already eated it. It's mine. Those 3 candles are still fine, I think. Or is this an extra candle in here? I don't think I think there was only 1 candle in there before, wasn't there? Nope. Okay. Is this different? Pretty sure that's not the right outfit. I knew it. Not sharing snacks and starving. It was 1 donut. Did this room change? And are you looking somewhere else? I could make you bread, leave the donut alone. No, I ate the donut. It's my donut. How we doing? Surviving. Barely. Again, these 2 statues. Are you different? Did you change? Oh, hi. He's gonna jump scare us. 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 I fucking knew it. It's okay. I was ready. I was ready. Still got her feet. Still got the head. Still got you hiding in the corner. These are fine. Those are fine. I think we're good. Nothing in the mirrors. 3, 4. We haven't had any light anomalies, I don't think. Is printer faux? Is definitely faux. It's almost always faux. Uh-oh. Okay, light anomaly. Got it. Okay, 1 more hour. Bitch boy jump scare, like what was that? Yeah, it was, and he was just a silhouette too, so it wasn't exactly very good. Were you always back there? Again, that is a terrifying looking duct up there. I hate it. Was this pipe always here? Paints? Which paints? These? Those aren't paints, but I'm pretty sure those aren't supposed to be there. Where? Here? You gotta be more specific, Carrie. Paints new. There's paintings in here. Is this one new? This stuff? This box of paint? No, that's been there. Although, has the desk moved? Has the whole desk moved? I can't tell, or it looks weird. No, okay. That's a lot of booze. That's a lot of booze. That's a lot of booze. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Feet are still there. These, we have extra ones of these, don't we? No, those were 2 and 2, weren't they? Yeah, okay, they were 2 and 2. It's the fat man again! Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, we're still good. 3, 4. Wait, is this the right coat? Was this coat always long? Okay. Oh, nope, you. God damn it, Tony! Okay.
What's your pleasure? What's your fear?
Hello, Ren! Light anomaly? Oh no, this has always been red though, hasn't it? Ren, thank you for doing your season pass for 2 years! Damn. Damn, son. Still the same number of no. No. That's the whole extra mannequin. Object replacement. There we go. Was Tony's hate for clothes? Maybe. We're almost there. We got less than 10 minutes. Still got the 3 items. Did you move? Mm. 2 minutes. Nice. The one that we thought we were gonna get 0 on. That's crazy. All right. We'll go ahead and jump into the next one. Because why not? Why not? Reports that an organization of interest has completed the purchase of a commercial property in the high population urban center of, I don't know, Toronto. Triggered an initial inquiry into the location. Findings indicated probably paranormal activity.
Come on, let's step into the macabre halls of the Dark Carnival.
Hectic, welcome in.
Please enjoy the show.
Ooh, Sekiro. Or did you have fun? Did you get your butt kicked? Are you okay? Rounds around to keep it interesting. There's likely intruders you won't see the first go round, for example. Oh, that makes sense. Hi, how was your stream? Did you have a good time? What trouble did you get into? Welcome in, Raiders. Game ran like trash? Ooh. Ooh. Did you make sure to turn off DLSS and make sure that you didn't have unlimited frames? I usually recommend capping it at 60 because if you're not partnered, then you can't stream it higher than 60 frames a second. And there's almost no reason to run it higher than that. Damn. What the hell? Okay, then it's probably a game issue and you may need to go check the graphic settings. Gotta run it higher than 60 for the VOD content? It doesn't even get saved at above 60 frames. Sunstar. That's the why in the VOD? Oh, goodness. In the VOD, if say like your bandwidth or anything drops down super low and stream gets super fucking grainy, that's still gonna be in the VOD. It's that graininess is gonna be in the VOD. I dropped it too low? How did you drop it too low? Not real big streamer of you classic? Yeah. Yeah. That's because when I want to make stuff, I'm going to be recording it and then snipping it all up. It doesn't matter at this point. Plus, I can keep it simple and not fucking absolutely eat up my computer's memory. You don't remember the one VOD we had that was 16 fucking gigabytes? Back when I was recording them? Fuck that. Very go high quality over quantity? Yeah. I dropped it to its lowest settings. That makes sense. But you also made sure to change the settings, right? I mean, not settings, the frame rate settings, more specifically. I was gonna say, if it has frame rate settings, that could, like, you can turn the settings all the way down, but in some games, they will still have a FPS slider. You can turn the settings all the way down, but that FPS slider still wants to hit unlimited. How exactly would I know of a 16 gig file? Wasn't it one of the ones that you sent me? Wasn't it one of the ones that you had downloaded and then sent me later? I thought it was. I thought we had to use like a Google Drive for it. 16 gigs is not a lot. 16 gigs for a video file fucking is. Okay. This was like 3 years ago, maybe more. It was a long while ago. Oh well. Anyway, chat, we were going to start this round a little bit early and then pause it in the middle, but we have less than a minute. So I'm going to give y'all the game. And the other music. All right, kids. I need to scatter only because I'm still hungry and I have gumbo in the fridge that I'm going to go nibble on that I nibbled on last commercial break. I'm going to go nibble on now. It's mine. You can't have any. Nyahaha. Chat, we have a problem. We have a problem. I fucked up. I fucked up. Houston, we have a problem. Hold on a second. Hold on. Get your ass back in your spot. Go back over there. Sure, that's the spot. We fucked up. Chat, apparently we're not in fact starting Left 4 Dead at 4 o'clock like I thought we were. Apparently they're starting 8 minutes ago. Hold on. I thought we were starting at 4. Why did you tell me we were starting at 4? I don't want to be left out. Okay, no, they're still in the starting soon screen. Damn. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, chats. We're gonna raid Fairbanks. I'm sorry. We're cutting it early. We'll play it another time. We'll do the last 2 maps another time. Oh no, there's gonna be so many people that have no idea what's going on. Oh no. Short stream, heck? Well, we're probably going to be playing like Left 4 Dead for like 3+ hours. It's fine. I thought we were going to have a full stream, but I also don't want to, I don't want to be like left out. I want to go play games with homies. Here, we'll wait out till I'm kind of sort of blocking, but no, we're not. We're fine. Slide over just slightly. We'll explain when the ad break's over. Shit. All right. Put you away. Bring on, game. Welcome back to the ad break, chat. We have a problem. We have a situation. If you were here for the ad break, I'm so sorry. We need to scatter. Originally, we were going to be playing Left 4 Dead 2 at 4. I was lied to. They're starting right now. If y'all want to hang out, I'm still going to be over at Fairbanks, who we're about to raid in just a second. Thank you for the self-care. But other than that, guys, I will see you in just a minute. If I don't see you the rest of the day, I love you. Eat something delicious, and I will see you tomorrow.